All right, we're in the broadcast room, and I wanted to give you a little walking tour and a little bit of history on why the room looks like this. This video is not really designed to teach you how to use any equipment, but more to understand how the room is set up. So you'll notice that the ceilings aren't terribly high in here, and that's one of the bane of my existence. I wish they were. There is more space up above this ceiling, but it ended up being a hung ceiling. That was the architect had. I didn't even know that was the thing. When I got involved with it, the ceiling was already somewhat low. There's a little bit more space up over here, but because of that, we had to push down this light grid. So up on the ceiling, let's start with the ceiling stuff. You'll see this big pipe grid and the ability to clamp lights onto it here. So all of this has got power circuits and it's got DMX circuits, which are kind of control signals for the lights. You will notice when you do clamp something to a pipe up here, on this light, you'll see there's like an extra cable. This is a safety cable. You never want something over anyone's head without a safety cable on it. So if you're ever putting a fixture somewhere, you need it on there. However, it's super flexible. So you can move these lights around for wherever you want to do with them, and they're all going to get the same signals. So let's take a look at this one up here. You're going to notice a box. It says the number 5. And what does that 5 mean? Well, any of the outlets that have a number like that on them, those are controlled by a relay circuit in the back room, which we'll walk into in just a second. Those lights, those outlets do not work unless the lighting system is on. It's a safety system. So if something were to happen in electricity, we had a lightning strike, all these expensive lights would not get fried if that lighting board was powered off when it happened. So you may see an outlet and say, hey, I need power, I'm going to plug into there. It's not going to work if the relay system isn't on. Over here on the wall, this is an additional lighting system. It actually is the same thing. There's a key for it. It's the same kind of control surface that's on the other side. I haven't used this a whole lot, but when you turn one of these guys on, it'll actually let you use this without having to go back to the big light board. Okay, over on the wall here, we have these jacks around the room, and there's a couple different versions of them, but you'll see this one says VB9 and VB10. These Ethernet jacks are not internet. They don't connect to the school's network at all. They go only to the back room, and they allow you to patch things back and forth. That might be useful for, like, if you needed, say, an antenna from a piece of equipment back there that runs over an Ethernet cable. You could plug it in on one end and plug it in on the other end, and it's like one giant cable that comes to this spot. You can also go from any spot right here to any other spot in the room by connecting it with a patch cable in that back area. And I'll show you that in a second when we get back to that room. So we're going to continue around here to the wall, and I'm going to show you a couple other ports that are on this particular wall. So let's see if this has got wheels right now. So on the back of this wall, there's a special jack here, and this is an SDI port that's made that runs back from our router. At the moment, it's controlling here, but this could be anything, but this is an SDI port that's built into the wall. Those SDIs are for video signals. Down over here, next to this, you're going to see a jack here that has a number on it. So this one's put out from the wall. And then right next to it, there's a DMX1 output. Both of these are part of the lighting system. So any DMX output that you see around here, it's all carrying the same signal and will plug into one of your lights and allow it to work. The reason all this stuff is mounted on the outside is that this was not, the lighting contractors and the architects did not do any work. As a matter of fact, the sound and the video, none of it was included despite my best efforts to try to get them to do it. So all that stuff is surface mounted. We're going to keep coming over here to the corner. We're going to see a box. And in this box, you have SDI inputs, SDI outputs, some other jacks here that say AVNet. These are Ethernet. This is very, very much the same kind of thing that those other ones that say VB do. It's a jack that goes back to a patch bay. All it is allows you to pass some kind of data back and forth. There's some microphone in and outputs, a couple of other camera things, some fiber optics stuff, and some empty slots for expansion. This continues up, over, and goes into the back control room. There's another box over here as well. And this box, we're just going to have to kind of sneak around here, Elliot. This box over here has the same kind of stuff, some SDI inputs and outputs. It has additional fiber optic ports, but you're also going to see some power ports that are here, and this is carrying 4-pin XLR power. Right next to us right here, you're going to see this weird jack. This is a pass-through port. It's foam on the inside, and you can pull this up. This allows you to pass a cable in and out of here, but it's also a fire code kind of thing. So when you're like, hey, I need a new cable and I don't feel like going through all these pipes or trying to find a new pathway, you could pass it between this room and there's another one that passes through the other room. Just notably, because it's more structural than anything else, this is the green screen wall. On the camera, you might be able to tell there's a little sheen on it. When they painted it, this is another thing that I don't really love about the architects who designed this. This is an eggshell paint. Hopefully by the time you watch this video, it's green still, but doesn't have any shine on it. You don't really want this to happen. It should be flat. Up above, there's a curtain, so you can close this and hide the green screen anytime that you want. Everything else on the ceiling is all lighting system. It's just a duplicate of the stuff that we said. With the lighting, the power can daisy chain. So I don't think we have an example of that right now. But here, Elliot, how tall can you be? So right here, this is called a power con jack. And this is another one. You can actually take a white cable that goes to a blue cable and connect one light to another. But right now, they're all plugged into individual outlets because there's actually quite a few of them. And then they've got their DMX cables that run in and out, and you can put a chain of them together to make things work. So we're just talking about the room more than any equipment right now. We're going to keep going around here. This television has a direct line that runs to it at this point that carries an SDI cable, which allows you to put whatever video feed that you want. We're back in the control room here now, and you're going to notice a couple of ports on the wall. We got SDI in and outputs, and then also some of these AV net, just Ethernets that go between different things. There's two of these boxes over here. And then we've got a couple of iMacs that are in here right now, and who knows how that will change over time. In here, there's a on-air light. This light is out in the hallway, and it's on right now. And unfortunately, the one that I wanted was a three-dimensional one. They put kind of a flat one on. I'm going to turn this off because we are not on air. In theory, that would help somebody know if they could come in or not. This is just the light switch for the overhead room lights, which, by the way, in the other room or this room, if they're on and you need them to be off to do something, you can just push the bottom button and they'll stay off for a while. Down underneath here, I want to point out this particular jack. So this one, you're going to see some of these VB networks, but also this other one that doesn't say VB stuff. These ones here, these go to the school network. These are like Ethernet jacks for a computer. They will carry school network information. The ones down here do not. Just to give you a tour, sound is right here. We've got a lighting control, and this is the lighting board. There is a DMX cable that runs out of that and goes into a control system in the back. Down underneath right here, you can see two different pass-through ports, just like there are some on the other side. Up here is the video switcher, and you've got screens for controlling your stuff. A lot of that's not on right now, and some other stuff with the computers that are back here. But this room, aside from those SDI ports and some of the network kind of connections, it's more about knowing how to use the equipment than about ports or anything like that. One note though, this is soundproof glass. It's double pane, and the doors here and in the hallway are soundproof doors, and that makes a big difference. You may have noticed when we walked in here, I can hear the air conditioning heating vents in this room really well, but they did different stuff in the actual studio so that you can control things. So you close that door, people in this control room here, you close this one right here, people cannot hear you back and forth. You have to be able to talk using the sound system. We're going to come back to this back room because there's a few different things to know here. It does have a automatic light. Now, I don't think there's anything you need to know back here. Let me explain a couple things. This is a relay for our whole lighting system. You don't really need to know how to use it. It's setting some channels. When it knows information's on, this is what turns on all those lights. You might hear it click when you're turning on the sound light board or the either the wall unit or the regular light board, or when you're turning them on or off, you might hear the clicks happening. That's okay. That's what it's supposed to do. One note on that, if you need the light system to be down, both of those have to be off. So if you had the light board and that wall unit on, they both have to stay off so that the system will shut down and go away. Over here, this is a lighting control for the architectural lights that shine on the wall outside of Lutheran West. It's kind of a weird device. I've done a different video on it. You can choose scenes and scroll around, but that's what that is, and that's what this little box right here is. Now, over here, we're going to take a look at a couple of different things. This up here is called a video hub, and this is a digital router of all the video signals. So all the video inputs, these are SDIs, by the way, all of the inputs come here and all of the outputs leave from here. But what you can do is any input can go to any output that you want. And so you have incredible flexibility with what shows on the different screens or is captured by our switcher. Down below here, we have this fiber optic panel, and you're going to see some labels on here. We have fiber optic connections in the crow's nest in the gym, down in the gym, rock gym by the closet where the sound system is, and in the auditorium near the sound booth. If you were wanting to use fiber optic connections, you need to patch through to it, and it goes to this studio converter. So whatever the other end of this plug is, if you want number 1 here to be coming from the gym, we'd plug it into 1 right here, and then they can go down and plug the camera into 1 there, and that will allow the signal to feed all the way through back to here for control. We'll talk some more about that in a different video. Right down here, you're going to see VB1, 2, 3. Those are those jacks that we saw in the room. And that's simply a place for you to put a patch cable. So a patch cable might look like this. And let's say I wanted to take something from I plugged in a piece of equipment to VB3, and I wanted to go across the room to VB10. Well, now here's where I make that connection. I go 3 to 10, and it's direct. It's almost as if a cable went from one side to the other directly. Okay, so that's the power of it. Those other ones that were built into the ports that said AVNet, those are in those boxes. I'm bad at releasing that. They're right here in a different strip. So it says AV3, AV4, AV5, etc. And those are all here. And some of those are plugged into something right now, but that's a different way you can patch signals. You can patch signals from that to this. All it is a passive connection. Understanding what else is here, we do have a drawer in this thing, and there's a couple of fiber optic cables and random things in here. But this is the AVNet switch. Just understand that it's here and that different ports actually control things. When something is plugged into there, it's on the network. It is being used by the AV network. Whereas what we did here, where we plugged between this is passive, just like a cable. Once we go here, there's a brain behind it, and it's being processed in one way or another. So video hub, fiber changing, both of these control patching, and then this is the actual switch which connects to other AV switches in the network. Only a couple more things I want to show you while you're in here. Everything else is storage. Back over here, you're going to see the 2 ports that came from the control room and the port that goes out to the main room. So that's how you can pass cables back and forth. And now you're going to have to kind of sneak. This is the back door. If you've never opened one of these latches before, hit the button up at the top and a little handle pops. This is the back of what we're looking at. Up there is the video hub. So if you want inputs or outputs to there, and you don't really have to touch pretty much anything else that's in here. At the bottom down there, that yellow unit, that is power that feeds those power jacks, those 4-pin power jacks. And then this thing right here that's hanging vertically is the amplifier that controls the talkback speaker that's in the room up overhead. So that is a quick tour and a little bit of a history on what really is going on in this particular room. I'll have other videos that talk you through how some of the basics on the equipment work, but a lot of what you need to do is think about what's the current operating system for the thing they're using. Go find a manual or a YouTube video and learn those on your own. But I'll have a couple basic ones for you. All right, just to add one little extra bit here. Up above, right here, that circular speaker, that's the one that is carrying the talkback information. It's plugged into the amp back there, and I'll stitch that video together so it makes sense. One other thing, this speaker right here is connected to the Lutheran West PA system. It really doesn't have anything to do with the stuff that I use, but there's a volume control on there, and there's another one in that room up above. It's like that in every classroom. So hearing the announcements that come from the PA would go right through that spot.